Alex Zoltan reporting from True North. Today is Wednesday, April 16th. We are covering the French election leaders debate from the Heart of Darkness, the CBC radio building. We're going to be talking to people on the street, asking them what are the most important issues in the upcoming election, as well as the debate today, and what they anticipate will happen during the French debate.
The system is outdated. Like the ideology of the liberal and conservative, I think the people don't want that anymore. They want to change another philosophy of administration.
What about the Communism Party? I noticed that they have a sign up there. Will you be voting for the Communist Party?
Communism is more of a deeper understanding of things, okay? The Russian communism in the past, they didn't use it properly. It wasn't the right communism, okay? China, same thing, borrowed, okay? But Karl Marx in his writings, he explains exactly what it should be. But it will take time before the general public rise and become more intelligent and understand things. Education is very important.
Is there anything that you would like to see be asked during the debate?
I prefer to be with the people and tell the people to wake up. They're the ones who make decisions in their private lives, okay? Give you an example, like in the city of Montreal, I never bought a car because I don't need it, because I have property, which is excellent. So what is all these things doing in the street, type of thing? Well, that's the people. The people have to wake up. And Trump is excellent to get the people to wake up. Carney, I like Carney. He's bringing Canada kind of in the right direction. He's putting his eggs in more baskets, except the one basket. I think I like that. That's good for Canada.
What's the most important thing in this election to you?
I'd say housing, and not electing another Trump. Personally, I think that corporations shouldn't be allowed to own housing, like single family houses especially, but I even think in general, housing units, if they were only allowed to be owned by the people who lived in them, that would make a huge difference, obviously. Maybe that's dramatic for our capitalist world, but yeah, I mean, the rents are just out of control, and I just think that at some point that's hurting our society in a way that I don't hear talked about. That, I mean, yeah, I guess it's talked about, but if my rent doubles, I'm not going to have any time to try and start a business or go to the restaurant or anything really. So I think the housing and even commercial rent, crisis adds up to just stalling society basically. I see the street in my neighborhood go from having lots of like mom and pop shops and stuff like that to now a lot of the spaces are emptying out because I think they're just asking for too high of rents. And actually I think commercial property should have more regulations. I have a recording studio, and you just never know every year, is the landlord just going to decide I'm going to double your rent and you're shit out of luck. So you're investing into a business. I've seen it with restaurants, people going in, starting a business, having a successful cafe or whatever it is, and then 2 years later they're told, oh, we're going to double your rent. So the $100,000 they invested into their kitchen and their decor is just out the window. Not even that long ago people were like, Montreal's awesome, Quebec's awesome because we don't have that problem. I used to be my partner is from the US. And I was like, let's just go live in Montreal because it's
cheap,
it's great. And then that kind of just switched so fast. I mean, obviously if you buy a building today, you're gonna have to rent for a lot because it's so expensive. You know, having it used to not even be a thing to get a constant like a raise, like a price hike or whatever, like each year. You know, like now landlords have started sending a letter every year and bringing up the price as much as they possibly can, and that used to not even really be like that much of a thing. I remember renting for many years and not having my price ever go up, you know? And it just seems to have become a trend where all the landlords just think, oh, like it's fine, I can just make as much as I possibly can out of this, you know? Because if you own the place and you're renting upstairs, you know, you're gonna try and treat your tenant well, but when it's like anonymous corporate landlords or whatever, they don't care. I think the problem is just greed, you know, and like uncontrolled capitalism. It's not like this thing that just can't not happen, you know. Like, I guess the NDP would be who aligns the most with my values, but yeah.
Who do you think is doing the best job of going against Donald Trump, and who do you think would be best prepared to lead the country in negotiations with the Orange Man?
The one that has the most knowledge about economy, not the one that has the most knowledge about politics. We could see that politics is just beside now the Canadian. The Canadians are at 6 o'clock, so they move the Canadian a little bit lower to make it sure that everybody will look at it. So, and Trump is not that nice for not in Canada. So I would say, you know, we have to think about that. But even if Trump goes to Canada, they won't win in Canada because we don't like him, so we'll throw them away. So that's the case, you know. We're a little bit like California. California is the one that likes the most to be, you know, on our side. So let's see what's going on.
We have been talking to people on the street, in the metro, all around this neighborhood about what are the top issues for them during this election. Top of mind for most people, Donald Trump. Second biggest issue, I would say, is probably housing, or more broadly, affordability. The third biggest issue is the environment, I would say would be a fair summary of the people that we've spoken to. And the fourth biggest issue, surprisingly, Marxism. I believe that I actually spoke to a reincarnated version of Karl Marx earlier today, just outside the metro station. Nice enough fella. And yeah, we're just going to see if we can get some more opinions from this neighborhood. Just asking people on the street today, what is the most important issue in this election to you?
I think it would be who can kind of stand up for Canada's sovereignty. I sort of feel bad for the parties that I like to vote for, which would be like typically the NDP, and I will probably vote for them again because I'm in a neighborhood that's going to go liberal anyways. I haven't really listened to a lot of Poilievre's talk during the campaign, but I am curious how he separates himself from the kind of like right-wing Trump ideology. You know, I think he's in trouble because he linked himself to that a while ago, and now Canadians are really pushing back against it, and he's stuck. I think it's like part of his brand.
The election debate is coming up in just a few hours. What are the most important issues to you for this election?
Well, probably like almost every other Canadian, just to make sure that our values are preserved in this time of great uncertainty. I'm gonna watch it just to see if somebody slips, but otherwise my opinion is already made.
Your opinion is already made. You know who you're voting for.
I'm between NPD and Liberal, because in my conscription NPD has a chance to get a seat, and I don't think it's gonna affect the whole outcome of the thing, so I might go that way. But if I see that things are a bit too much heated, then I'm gonna go Liberal.
It's been an eventful day here in Montreal. We have been walking around the neighborhood, asking people questions, what's important to them about this election. Ironically, most of the people that we asked happened to be journalists themselves, many of them working for the CBC. Several others that we talked to were communists, some of them both. We are now in the election center, or the election debate center, I should say, the media center for the election. And we are waiting for things to begin. We are going to try to ask some of our own questions of the major party leaders. From True North, this is Alex Zoltan.